Here we are on day 59. What a ride. 59 days. 59 days. Now what? What do we do? Went through all of this. Remember back 59 days ago when we went through the foundation, the foundation of who are you? What do you want? The power of questions in the foundation. Moving on to the code. Remember the code? Real, raw, relevant. Results. Real feelings. How are we doing that? How are we doing it? Accessing our real feelings or the real facts. How are we doing at our raw feelings? How are we managing? How are we dealing with our feelings in the raw, like what we actually feel, not muffled, like actually expressing that relevant? How are we at applying what is relevant to the outcome that we want? The focus. How are we staying focused? In the end, are we getting the results? Are we getting the fruit of all this? The stacks. How are we doing with the stacks, right? How are we doing with the things that trigger us? What are we doing with the trigger? Are we taking this ride into the dark and this drift? Are we just riding this drift out until we hit the bottom, until we hit the shame level? Are we riding it through the blaming and all of the other emotions, the anger that come with that? Or are we catching it in the anger zone, taking this ride through the dark, hitting the brakes, redirecting this, making the shift and getting the lift, and taking the lesson and applying it to the other areas of our life? Or are we just kind of going with the fuck it, right? The whole idea of the stack is turn the fuck it to fire, right? Then we get to the core, right? How are we doing with the body, the being, the balance, the business? Are we hitting our score? Are we actually functioning? Are we actually setting goals that are obtainable and hitting the goals on a weekly basis? Then we go to the keys, right? We go to the keys, and the one thing, the one thing that supports, the keys that support the one thing. You know, are we when we set up our general's tent every week? Are we actually setting a one thing that's obtainable? Are we actually thinking through and choosing keys? Are we choosing the what, when, or the what, why, when, and how? Are we laying that all out in an effective manner that we're hitting our one thing every week? I think back over this journey of all of this, and it's really quite a journey. A lot of information, but again, information's not enough, right? We have the tools, we have the insights, we have the way to access our power, we have the way to course correct, we have the way to not get ourselves stuck in a drift, in shame, and all the other things that hold us back. We have an opportunity and the tools to redirect ourselves every single week, and to catch ourselves, actually extract the lessons from life instead of just getting beat up by them without even knowing that the whole purpose of the beating was the lesson to have you expand and become the person that is able to take on the task of obtaining the objective that you've chosen initially. And the bottom is, can we be honest? Can we access a level of honesty where we can actually be truthful about where we are and what we want? Can we answer those very initial questions that we laid out in the foundation? Is who are you? And what do you want? Where are you at? Like, where are you at for real? I got stuck on this one for some time, right? I kept going back to where I was maybe a year or two ago, where I was more on top of my game. Money was an issue and it was an embarrassment, right? And some level of shame that someplace I haven't been in 30 years was an issue for me. I didn't like that feeling. I couldn't bring myself to that reality that easily, right? Because it was more comfortable avoiding that. So in the end of the game, right, we get to the game and the challenge and the winning of the game, right? The expansion. The expansion takes to win the game. But in the end, there's only one thing that'll make this all happen. And that's our willingness to do the work. Nothing happens without action. The rest is just theory. It's knowledge. Knowledge isn't power anymore, right? Even with focus, even if you get outstanding focus, if you take no action, if you don't pull the trigger, it does no good, right? So today we're not going to have a teach, right? We're not going to have an assignment of teaching, right? We're actually going to have an assignment of work, right? If you haven't done the work today, go do it, right? The work meaning the core four. If you haven't hit your core four today, go do it. If you haven't done a stack today, go do it. That's your assignment. Once again, it's been a journey, right? And in the end, if we're not willing to take the action at the end, we've gone through all of the work, we've gone through all of the items that we can expand, course correcting, and all of that. But if we're not actually willing to take the action at the end, if we're not willing to take the lessons learned in a stack, if we're not willing to go into the darkness, when we drift and we can't see, if we're not willing to embrace that and go there to look for the answers and look for the light, all the rest doesn't matter, right? So that's, once again, the assignment for today is do the work. Make sure you've done the work today. Get after your core four. Get after your stack. We have one more day. Tomorrow, day 60, and the final element of this whole training. See you tomorrow and day 60.